Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly.
I thought, yo, this is my life. I have to go pro in Halo.
In my head, thought that was more efficient, and I guess I was right.
He was like the god. We would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy. Like
I don't know, man. I'll try to reach you. You're like, oh, see you guys later.
A lot of Halo in my life, man. It's been a fun journey.
Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly, your destination for all things HCS. I'm your host, ShyWay, and guys, damn, am I ever excited. If you missed Inside Xbox, what are you doing? The biggest news that we could ever expect from this event just came out. We got MCC on PC with Halo Reach included. It's absolutely insane. Let's kick off our show with the news. As usual, we got MattyRums of noobcombo.com. Matty, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, so much. It's a good day now. We got big guests today.
Yeah.
We've got tons of crazy news on Inside Xbox as well. Like, who would have thought? I am always, like, 99% of the time, I am disappointed by Inside Xbox. So I did not have high hopes for this. No offense to the guys over there. They're doing a great job, I'm sure. But this is unbelievable. MCC coming to PC. Matty, break down some of the insights here.
Yeah, so it'll be released on Steam and the Microsoft Store. Just said later this year. It doesn't have any specific dates, but it's going to be released game by game, starting with Halo Reach, and then it's going to go down in chronological order, starting with Halo 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can also do the ODST campaign. They mentioned that it was co-developed by 343, Ruffian Games, and Splash Damage. Ruffian Games is known for, I think, Crackdown 2, and they worked a little bit on MCC. And Splash Damage worked on the Gears of War Ultimate Edition and Gears of War 4 for Windows and Xbox.
Right.
So they have a little bit of, I guess, credibility, if you want to call it there.
Right. One of the big things off the bat here is I love the fact that they're releasing on Steam and the Microsoft Store. That is such a smart decision from Microsoft right there. A lot of people don't like the kind of limitations that come with trying to play games specifically on the Microsoft Store, but this way on Steam with a massive player base, you've got millions of people who could hop onto this. I think that's unbelievable. So bringing it to PC in a place where it's easily accessible, rolling it out one game at a time, a little weird, but I kind of get it. They want to make sure that every single game they roll out is gonna run well, it's gonna play well. No issues there. And with a lot of streamers, talking about an absence of games like arena titles, like Summit 1G saying he misses a good old fashioned arena shooter. This is huge news for the potential there for the audience that we could see. So really exciting stuff. We have some more information as well with Reach coming to PC. Break that down.
Yeah, so Reach will be available in 4K HDR and 60 frames per second on Xbox and PC. Hopefully they'll be able to unlock the frame rate on PC, but who knows? Right. We'll see what happens. Reach multiplayer will be included on Master Chief Collection if you already own it. Mm-hmm. The campaign and firefight mode will be add-on DLC that you will have to pay for only on Xbox. Unless you have Game Pass, then it's all included. Right. And they also mentioned that when it launches on PC, it'll all be included as well. So you'll be able to play multiplayer, campaign, and firefight on PC.
Yeah, so just another thing as far as ease of access goes, Game Pass is not very expensive. Just $5, or was it like $10 a month or something? There's so many ways.
You get 1 month for $1. So. Right,
you get your first 1 month practically free. It's so easy to come by. So just the access that people will have to this game is insane. It's and if you already have MCC, a lot of this stuff is free. You're just getting the multiplayer for Reach right away. It does look like there's some premium stuff as far as campaign firefight goes, and I'm sure we'll get more announcement on how that's going to work in the future. But I think that's excellent. Just kind of giving us this content, putting in all this work to ensure that they're really hitting the fans. What we're asking for. It's crazy because this was leaks, this was rumors. We didn't want to get our hopes up too high, but it all turned out to be true in the best possible way. So I'm sure everybody who's watching, any Halo fan out there, is just incredibly excited about this news. But let's continue on with the news that we had planned before all this was announced here. We also have our 343 Pro team getting another addition. Miquin joins the roster.
Yeah, we all pretty much saw it coming. He was talking about moving to Seattle and things like that, but it's now official. He announced it on his Twitter. And if you don't know who Miquin is, look up his wiki. He's a seasoned veteran. Most recently, he played for Renegades in Halo 5, but he goes all the way back to, I believe, Halo 3. So.
Can I just add my 2 cents on how terrible that photo is in the tweet? Like,
Yeah.
who selected
Yeah.
that photo in the tweet? It's like 240p or something. He looks like
he
an old
mentioned-
lady or something. Yeah.
He said something that he's upset that it rendered so bad or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
photo looks so bad. I don't know what that's all about. But regardless, it's something that we had speculated for a while. Mickwin had been talking about moving over to Seattle with 343. So this is, this was an expected addition to the roster. And of course, we all know Mickwin, just, tons of experience in competitive Halo. Excellent player, very charismatic. And he's joining the team with Hines and Clutch now. So 3 amazing players. We also had some rumors on a potential L-Town. So we might have 4 of them in the works here, and that just the team keeps growing. It's looking better and better. So along with the news here, we also have a Halo 5 spring season update that just happened recently. Matty, run me through that.
Yeah, so they pretty much refreshed the doubles and free-for-all playlists. On the doubles playlist, they did a bunch of changes to Coliseum, Eden, Molten, Plaza, and the Rig. And all the changes they claim are to make the 2v2 a better experience.
Right.
I haven't played it myself, so I'm not too sure.
I haven't played it either. I've heard some comments in my chat while live streaming that a lot of people aren't big fans of the changes. I don't know if that's just because it's all very new and it's still kind of working out the kinks, or if it does, it's not the greatest update. Either way, hopefully it's something that's continuing to change and be modified as time goes by. It looks like they're attempting to improve the experience at least. So we'll see where that goes. They also have new maps added for free-for-all.
Yeah, in the free-for-all playlist, they added White Cell, Echelon, Furnace, and Seclusion.
Right.
So there'll be a regular rotation now that's free-for-all.
Yeah, White Cell, Echelon, we've seen a lot of already. Furnace and Seclusion, they were part of the original Forge maps that you could test out when we were trying to figure out what the new competitive maps were going to be. They were 2 of the additions there. Bit of an odd one, I think, to have Furnace as an FFA map, but hey, I mean, they're trying new things. They're throwing some new content out there. Halo 5, is in need of constant new updates and content to keep things going. So I respect it. We also have an MCC March update as well, so continuing the updates there.
Yeah, so competitively, the only things that were changed in the Halo 2 Classic and Halo 2 Anniversary games, they took away the Team Arena playlists and they replaced them with Team Hardcore.
Right.
And they mentioned that the Hardcore both playlists have the original HCS settings and maps. Mm-hmm. So it's a new addition. There was a bunch of social playlist updates for Halo 1 Action Sack and Halo 2 Classic Snipers, and I believe there was 1 or 2 Halo 2 Anniversary games as well. But they added a bunch of new types of game types in the Action Sack. Yeah,
good decision all around. I mean, kind of unifying the 3 games playlist right there, because you have Team Hardcore already for Halo 3, and then just having it for H2 Classic as well. Easy transition, the original
Makes
competitive
sense.
Settings as well, really incentivizes that we play some Halo 2. So I think that's great. It makes sense, exactly. The next thing we have is the PBL Season 4 was delayed. So PBL, it was a Halo 5 competitive league, and we have a delay on Season 4 until further notice, unfortunately. Matty, what's up here?
Yeah, they didn't really say too much about it. They just announced that, I know they had the preseason. I think the preseason finished, but they announced that the regular season will be delayed. Only thing they said was that they have conversations in the works to make it bigger and better. So who knows what that means, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to seeing what they come up with, though it is a little unfortunate in a way, because I mean, with the massive announcement of MCC and their focus on Halo 5, I'm wondering what's going to happen there, because it looks like there's going to be a ton of opportunity coming up in MCC, especially with PC in the works. You might have PC and console competitions and whatnot. So we'll see what they do there. Noob Combo clip of the month. We have another announcement there I know you wanted to make as well.
Yeah, a little shameless plug. Over on my website, noobcombo.com, we're running a clip of the month contest. We started it last month where you were the judge for Halo 3. This month we're doing Halo 5. And it's just clips only, no montages, and the winner gets a $25 gift card. You can enter at noobcombo.com/contest.
Awesome. Nice and simple to enter the contest. Just if you're already getting clips, you might as well send some of them over to Matty and
send them in.
Yeah, see if it wins $25. Why not? A good way to, put your purchase towards Game Pass or the MCC updates and whatnot in the future would be pretty great. And then we have our tournament rundown, everything relevant for this week in competitive Halo, the stuff you want to tune in for. What do we got, Matty?
Yeah, so the Winter Series Finals was this past Saturday. They cut it a week short because they realized that it was going to conflict with the Invitational and Gamers for Giving.
Right.
So they knocked it back a week. But finishing first was Denial. Second place was Waste of a Seed. Third was Lux Gaming. And fourth was Mazer Gaming.
Did Denial slip in there last second? Is that what happened? Because they weren't in the previous weeks, were they?
No, yeah, they had points from the first week, but a lot of teams like Reciprocity was in, Tops was in, and they all joined in for the last one because that was the $1,000 prize.
Right.
But it was interesting to see Waste of a Seed went on a tear. They knocked out Tox. They knocked out a few teams it was a little surprising.
Yeah, pretty exciting. And I mean, they're getting all of that practice from the other weeks that the big teams had missed. So, maybe that's part of, what came into play here. They're dedicating their time and focus to the game, and it's starting to pay off. We also have the UGC Double Down Week 3 as well.
Yeah, so first place was XBC Champs. Second place was Practice Noob. Third, fourth was Swellfellas and Team Broadside.
Right. So the UGC Double Down continues with Week 3, and there will be more of that, of course. And we have St. Lee's Halo 3 1v1 tourney as well. Shoutouts to St. Lee. He's been putting together some great events. If you guys don't follow him already, make sure to follow St. Lee on Twitter, and he's live streaming regularly on Twitch as well. Matty, what do we got here?
Yeah, so it was just a 1v1 tournament with a $400 prize pool. First place went to Gun Type. Second place went to Tusk. Third place went to Frugal Rocket 452, which we believe, or we're all pretty sure it was a Smurf account, but I don't know who it actually was. And fourth place went to Magnitude.
Yep. There you go. So St. Lee putting in some work, having some events, and keeping the Halo 3 fun entertainment going. And 1v1 tournament, one of the greatest ways to showcase your skill in Halo 3. So great job from St. Lee right there. I'm sure if you stay tuned with St. Lee, he'll have some more events coming up in the future as well. And just to close off our events this week, we got the one big one this weekend.
Yeah, just this weekend, as we all know, is the HCS Invitational coming. It's going to take place from Friday the 15th to Sunday the 17th. And just be sure, especially, to tune in Sunday as they have more announcements, and we'll talk more on Halo MCC on PC.
I cannot wait. As some of you guys might already know, I will be flying out to the Invitational. I'm just so excited to be there on the Sunday for that announcement. Whatever they have, I'm ready for it, man. My body is ready. But anyway, thank you, Matty, so much for joining me once again. Week by week, we're killing it with the news here, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you next week with even more news, more updates on everything happening in Halo. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to a brand new segment, something I'm excited to announce. And by the way, something I forgot to talk about a second ago is if you are currently watching, you are eligible to win an HCS Grassroots nameplate and Halo 5 BR skin as well. All you have to do is put !Grassroots in your Twitch chat. You will be entered in the contest. We'll find out who the winner is at the end of the show. So keep that in mind. Get a nice free little Grassroots BR skin and a nameplate as well. Pretty exciting stuff. Let's jump into our brand new segment called Trick Jump of the Week featuring ClearlyMe. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Happy to be back.
What do we have this week? Apparently you got a nice trick jump for us that you can add to improve your gameplay here.
Yes, I do. It's on Guardian. You can do this on default settings or hardcore/MLG settings, which if you guys don't know the difference, hardcore MLG settings are 110% speed versus the 100% speed default.
Right.
And it's a quick little jump to jump from bottom shotgun to top shotgun. And in the example, I show I have my buddy Dribs helping me out, shooting at me to show you how beneficial it could potentially be.
Exactly. In a situation like this, you have no other exit strategy. You are trapped in the back of a hallway, but you just jumped out of there in a second while he's shooting at you. So how does this work exactly? And I'm sure it's kind of difficult to break down without showing us in person, but
yes.
The magic.
Which, before I fully explain, I want to let people know watching that I will be posting a tutorial, full-on tutorial, later on tonight on my Twitter, which is at MCC TrickJumps. But it's a simple little edge ghost up to a wall tap. You saw right there, I kind of smacked the top of my head on that angle right there, which momentarily creates a time and place where you can jump off of it. I use the momentum to run forward, and I smack the wall and use the momentum of the wall to push me backwards, where I crouch and clear my landing up on top shotgun.
Now, you make it sound like a simple little thing that you're doing, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, right?
A lot of practice.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure this is why you want to make sure to follow at MCC Trick Jumps, where he will break it down in more detail on his channel. You guys can check that out and figure out how to use such an important jump. That's very helpful if you're grabbing shotgun, you want to escape from that type of situation. So thank you so much for showcasing that jump. I'm expecting bigger and better jumps every single week. And with the new announcement, you've got so much incentive to keep grinding those jumps. So excited to see what you come up with, man.
Well, thank you, man. Excited to be on.
Yeah, no problem. We'll see you again next week.
I'll see you, man.
There we have our new segment, our weekly trick jump, something to be excited to look forward to, and just kind of continuing to push the meta in Halo 3. Even though, we are 10 years advanced in the future, even more so, it's still an exciting game. There's still so much to look at. And speaking of taking a trip down memory lane, I am so excited to welcome a legend onto this show, somebody I'm a massive fan of. I'd like to introduce Walshy to HCS Weekly.
Hey. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to have you, man. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
So well, man. What I wanted to do before we even got into the questions is I just wanted to talk about my time first meeting you, honestly. And it was a point, I don't know if you remember, you might remember. It was
this at EGL?
Yeah, it was EGLX. So this is a local gaming tournament in Toronto, for those of you who don't know. And I had attended as a volunteer caster for Smash Bros. Melee. I'm also a huge Melee fan. And I ended up being in a line for shawarma. And I was standing beside you, and I hadn't realized it at first. And then I finally realized it, and I was like, oh, my God, it's Walshy standing beside me. I might as well say hi. He's right here. We're stuck in this line. So I say hi. And we get chatting, and we find out you're here to cast, of course. You ask why I'm here. I'm just volunteering casting Melee, and then out of nowhere you decide to ask for my Twitter, and I was like, holy crap, Walshy is asking for my Twitter. This is unreal.
I just wanted to block you. I wanted to make sure. I was like, all right, I got way too many questions here when I'm just trying to get shawarma. I can only imagine how much he's gonna blast me on Twitter. So yeah, I'm gonna put him on block right away.
Yeah, smart man. You got me there. But honestly, I was so stunned by that. And you followed me, and I was like, oh, man, thank you. And you're like, yeah, never know where it's going to go, where it could lead. And then a year later, EGLX 2018, we're casting Halo together. And just I'm starstruck by the whole experience. But you're actually a very kind, charismatic, humble dude. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you for that.
You also left out that you bodied me in Smash. I was like, oh, you're doing Smash commentary. I was like, let's go jump on one of these stations. There's a bunch of open stations. I didn't have a controller because I don't have a GameCube controller anymore. Actually, I do have one, but it's not here. But regardless, I wanted to play some Smash because that was a fun game back in the day. And actually, Smash as a series is probably one of my favorites of all time, especially in the fighting game genre.
Yeah, man. The moment I found out you liked Melee, we had to find a CRT to play on, and that was a great time, man. I would do it again. And that even reminds me of just because CRTs in Melee, that's still happening. They're still getting together and landing, and that's kind of how Halo all began. So what I want to do with this interview is I want to go all the way back to the beginning here. Over 16 years ago, 23 event wins ago, how did you, Walshy, first get into Halo?
First played Halo, got introduced by my brother. So my brother was in college, which was still close to me, 20-minute drive away or something.
Okay.
And he started telling me about this game. He was like, oh yeah, we hook up a couple Xboxes, we play Halo all night long. And so I was like, yeah, I want to come check this out. And so I just remember the first time going over and playing. They didn't have any other people over there, but it was me, one of my good buddies, Steve Herbert, and then my brother. And my brother, we were just doing free for all, or maybe he was even just doing 1v2. I just remember every single fight, either just getting outshot by pistol wise, or he would do a plasma rifle turn on me and kill me. Yeah. And I was just one thing that always catches me in a game is when I feel every single battle or engagement I'm learning something, or I knew I could do something different. Where I was like, oh wow, I know I did wrong there. I'm going to avoid doing that mistake. And I just felt it was the perfect mix of strategy and skill. And after that, I just started landing with him a bunch, and then started playing with all my high school friends.
I like how the gears in your mind just start turning immediately. The moment you start playing, you die one time, you're like, whoa, there's some nuance to this. There's a lot I can learn here. What have I done wrong? How do I advance my gameplay? And I think that's one of the most exciting things about people getting into Halo for the first time is not only was it kind of unprecedented, it's a twin stick shooter, but it was just so incredibly challenging. It was fun to play, very difficult. And there was always this incentive to just try to improve, try to get better. And I think that's what made it so exciting is there was just this competition aspect to it. So I was listening to to some of your interviews and stuff back in the day, and it was reminding me of my best childhood memories playing Halo 2 LANs. I used to play in a basement of my buddy's house. It was back when we'd have like birthday parties and stuff. And at one point, you were talking about your favorite Halo memories. It was with Chris Puckett, where you guys were talking together on your YouTube, and you said at one point you got to the topic of something called trash rustling, which is a hilarious story. I wanted you to tell me a bit about this story and how exactly that came about. What's trash wrestling?
Trash wrestling. All right, so
where do you begin?
I'll try to give like a short to medium length story.
Sure.
So when I first was playing Halo with my high school friends, it was mainly the wrestling team. I was on the wrestling team in high school, and so we did that like every weekend, or any chance we got, we'd all do like a 16-person LAN. And then of course, like, wrestling is a pretty physical sport, and it's also has like a lot of seniority in it and stuff. And so like there's times where like a freshman would take the sniper away from someone else, and someone's like, what room is he in? They'd go run up, and they'd like physically like not terribly, but they'd be like, don't take my sniper again.
Right.
Even though they spawn pretty frequently in Halo. I guess actually in Blood Gulch is like a 2-minute timer, so it kind of was a big deal if you didn't get that sniper.
Right.
But this also transpired over to this team I started playing with, Cycle Soldiers over in Lansing, and they're some college guys, and their house was just an absolute mess. Like they were just slobs, like as far as like how much garbage on the ground, like it's just like pizza boxes and like Burger King bags for no reason, just like on the ground. And so every once in a while, like, games get heated and people start talking smack, and then like a trash wrestling fight would just kind of like break out. Like not like it's nothing like malicious, but like, every once in a while, like someone challenge, or like, someone would even like, challenge me. I'd be like, I could take you for sure. And then like we just start wrestling around, like just people would just like be rolling over like Burger King bags, or like rolling over. Like I remember like one time like getting up at like barbecue sauce in my hair. I was like, what the hell is this, man? Like, what are we doing?
This is your typical gamer environment here, by the way. This is what happens if you guys don't already know in your LAN environments. Is you just end up ordering a bunch of fast food and eating it all, and throwing all the wrappers on the floor, and then you guys are rustling in the wrappers and everything. That just I can see the visual in my head. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's
after this at some point, I'll try to dig up a picture for you. Like there's someone posted on like Facebook for me a while back, and like it's just like someone has me in a headlock. I have like their leg, and like we're just like there's just trash all around us as we're in this match.
Yeah, I mean, from small beginnings, man, that's where it all started, right? That's where the competitive career begins with these trash wrestling rivalries, and then, you get better and you start going to actual events, right? So you started competing in 2003 at AGP2. So what was that like attending your first event? How did that go?
Well, yeah, first off, I gotta say, like, for all the people out there that are trying to get better at the games, like that say you just gotta practice, and you gotta study, and you gotta watch YouTube videos, it's trash wrestling. If you want to get real good at gaming, you gotta get into trash wrestling. But you said about like first events, like AGP2, how did that one go? That was the question. That one, obviously, I had went with my high school friends, so at this point, before signing up for the event, I had not landed with like anyone that was better than me. Like I didn't expect to be the best. I was like, I just want to find good competition. That was one of the tough things about Halo 1. So the part was like, all right, I want to go there and see how good I can do, and just see how amazing all the other players are out there. And so I went with a few of my high school buddies, and as a team, we didn't do so hot. Like we made it into like, they did like some weird format where they had like an upper bracket and a lower bracket where it's like, and it was like single limb or something too. So like we went in the upper bracket and we got, like maybe top 32 or something like that. But free for all wise, I did really solid. Like I ended up placing 5th out of, it's like over 300 people there. And so I was like, all right, like my individual skill is like there, but like I remember even like losing the 1v1 and just being outpositioned. Like I didn't feel like I was being outshot too terribly bad, or like I was even ahead as far as shot goes, but like strategy wise and positioning wise, like Shiz just beat me in the 1v1. I was like, oh wow, like I need to learn how to play better like that, because if I can play smarter and better, I could do that. And so I started linking up with these guys, like I said, the Cycle Soldiers in Michigan. They're in Lansing, about an hour away from me, and that became like my new routine after a while. Like, every weekend or every other weekend, I'd be driving out to Lansing just to go LAN Halo 1 all weekend and wrestle in the trash, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing though, is like, yes, so the 4v4 event didn't go so well, but in the end of the day, it's the FFA where the star performers really kind of showcase themselves, right? And at that time when you placed 5th out of like the 300 people, the other top 8 people that were there, they were all top 8, like top team placement players basically, right? These were all players who were coming in, top 8 in the actual tournament. So I think that's what really made you stand out, and you're building those connections. You ended up, joining up with the Psycho Soldiers, like you said, and that ended up leading you to your first MLG tournament. So back in 2004, it was. Well, actually, before we do that, there was one thing, because I wanted to ask you, because you were saying, or basically your performance at FFA was so great. I was wondering if there was one little thing that kind of separated you from the rest. And I was watching a video that said that apparently you popularized the claw technique on Xbox controllers. So first, I want to know, is that true? And is that something you came up with on your own?
I would take 100% credit for popularizing it. Yes. Like,
Okay.
I don't think there was really anyone else in the scene at the times like doing it, or at least doing it to the level that I was doing it. Like, as far as like doing ridiculous like double melees and being that effective with it. However, I did not come up with that. Actually, one of the guys that I was landing with in Lansing area, his gamertag was Reclaimer, and I'd always shot with like my middle finger just because I don't know, like it felt natural. I used to shoot with my middle finger when I played like paintball or something like that.
Right.
So I already had like that finger kind of free, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And sorry, laundry getting ready for South by Southwest. I'm not sure if you heard the buzzer or not.
That's
back
okay.
there.
You probably hear my dog making like a variety of noises. I'm going to be honest with everybody in the chat here. She has somehow managed to puke in like 3 separate areas of my carpet back here, and I'm just going to have to deal with that after the interview. But
And
that's what's happening in the background.
And she was like 100% perfect before. She's gonna be 100% perfect after. But it's like as soon as stream time comes in, it's like, all right, dogs know to like, or animals know just to mess with you. Like my old cat always did that. But yeah, back to that original point. As far as that claw goes, is a guy named Reclaimer, and yeah, I just remember playing against him on like longest, and he was like he played like different than the rest of us. He was high sense, and he did like that claw thing. So it's like we'd play on. There's like one map he'd always dominate, which was longest, and it was just like, oh wow, like clearly he has this great verticality, which is very important, but obviously not nearly as important in Halo 1 as just having like a solid like mid-range shot. And yeah, so I remember I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna adapt that, and I'll just try to, incorporate like that close range or like that freedom in my shooting, because like I just remember like watching him play once, and like he'd like be jumping over while he's looking down the shotgun shooting someone. It's like that's just like plays that weren't happening on a controller, especially like a low sensitivity back in Halo 1.
Yeah, exactly. So you picked it up, and of course, you're a very popular guy, so everybody started noticing, and they're like, "Oh my God, the claw technique, revolutionary!" And there you go. Just so you guys know, Walshy popularized the claw that most of you, I'm sure, are using, if unless you have paddles or something like that. But lucky you having your middle finger already pulling the trigger, because that's never been comfortable for me. But for an original Xbox controller, the way it was shaped, I feel like it does kind of make sense. Like they were big controllers. Like it's very easy for your index to kind of go over the front of it. That's how I found, at least. I don't know. With the Xbox One controllers, it doesn't feel as
natural. I
also
practiced a bunch with it too, because like I don't know, I always loved, we would during LANs and stuff, we would run games or whatever, and then after a while, people would be taking breaks, or we would like obviously mess around with just random stuff in Halo 1, and I was ridiculously good with like the green gun back in the day too, like shooting that really fast.
Right,
and so like I would destroy other people in like 1v1s with that, or like once in a while we'd find someone who's really good at it, and like I would play them and get good practice with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember like it just felt insanely faster to shoot with like your middle finger, and I'm not sure if that's true, or if that just felt more comfortable for me. Like I bet there's some study out there on Google that could tell you
that would be interesting.
Which finger you can pull the trigger faster with.
Yeah, that's a whole video in itself, I'm sure. Anyway, so claw technique, and then you continue on. You form the squad with the Psycho Soldiers. This leads you over to MLG Philadelphia 2004. Was this actually where you met the Ogres for the first time, and how was this experience?
I'm trying to think. I know they were there. Like, I don't remember talking to them a bunch there, to be honest. Right. Obviously, everyone knew of them, knew how ridiculously good they were. Mm-hmm. I know at one point I had gone down another place and land, and I can't remember the exact timeline, if that happened prior to Philadelphia or after. But yeah, I don't remember being super close with them back, like, by Philly times, like, like we honestly didn't even make it too far in the tournament. We took like 5th/6th or something like that.
Right.
Which is a solid placing, but like obviously hoping for much better with the roster we had. But yeah, Ogres were there. I'm assuming they won everything. I'm assuming they won the 4v4s. If there was a 2v2, I'm sure they won that. And then I don't remember what happened as far as one or free for all. I know I had lost to Killer N in that one.
Right.
So.
Right, but I guess then recognizing kind of the dominance from the Ogres, you started to try to form a team to compete against them, and that's kind of how you were introduced to playing with them again in the future.
Well, so yeah, I would say like that Philly event. I remember practicing a bunch with our roster, going to that one, which we had 4 Michigan players. We land almost every weekend or every other weekend together, and we got by a team that had 4 players from 4 different cities. I was like, all right, well, clearly, like, individual skill is most important in this game. Like, it does, I would much rather have 4 very strong individuals from different cities than 4 practice players that had played together for months and months. And like that event kind of was I got that conclusion from that event. And so after that, I was like, all right, well, I want to team with Ogres, but obviously they have no incentive to team with me. Like, they're winning already and stuff. So like, I think the goal is always to team with the Ogres. And so I was like, all right, well, time to find a multi-city team with top individuals from across the country and see if we can take them down.
Exactly. So you grabbed their attention. Shortly later in 2004, you end up joining the Ogres, forming Team Domination, becoming the Halo 1 MLG New York champions. And then came Halo 2. You picked up Saiyan. You formed what we know today as the Halo Dynasty. Tell me a bit about your time competing with the Ogres and Saiyan back in 2005, losing only 1 event in Halo 2 the entire year. And then what eventually inspired the final boss name change?
All right. So first off, let's see. As far as like the team itself, obviously it was near dream come true. Like I was just like, all right, sweet. Like, these guys are 2 of the best. I consider these 2 the best players in the game. And even in the early Halo 1 times, we had like Killer and / Saiyan. I considered both of them also other top 5 or top 10 players in the game.
Right.
So part of our success, first off, was we just had the right mix of players. Like I said earlier in like Philly, I kind of figured I was like, well, all that matters, you just need to have like the top players. Doesn't have to be the same city. And then obviously once you have the game online, it's easier to practice and you get the best of both worlds. Right. So yeah, that part was one of the ingredients to success. The other one, we got along really well outside of the game. Like, just became really good friends. Like, the Ogres, I became good friends with Killer N, eventually with like Saiyan. And that just just takes the chemistry to a whole new level. When you're spending, it's the same with any sort of job in the real world, where it's like, if you're spending 40 to 60 hours a week somewhere, you want to spend it with people you want to enjoy being around. And they were incredibly fun to like, hang out with outside the game. Inside the game, we had so many laughs and had so much fun, like competing and playing. And so just everything was, great.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it was great because you guys start dominating. Things for you start skyrocketing, not just in the game, but outside the game too. In 2006, Final Boss signed a contract with MLG worth $1 million over 3 years. You were Red Bull's first ever sponsored gamer, which is amazing. You were featured in multiple magazines, news outlets, and you started a clothing line called Kineto. And we actually have a video about this. We showed it as pre-roll. I'm going to roll it again real quick here with 22-year-old Walshy. Tony, roll the video.
Uh-oh.
Walshy's on top of the world right now. The 22-year-old David Walsh from Grand Rapids, Michigan, made $70,000 playing video games last year. This year, he signed a multi-year $1 million contract. But there's more to Walshy than just video games.
This is where I spend about 45, 50 hours a week. Gaming is evolving now. We figured there should be a clothing line out there for gamers. It's pronounced Kineto. It's a revolution of different kinds. What is there out there for gamers that isn't nerdy? You want something that you can wear and, not be a total nerds. Just seeing people wear a company that I'm a part of, it's just amazing. I'd like this to be like the Hurley of video gaming. Hurley is the skateboarders, but Kineto is the video gamers. Just trying to be entrepreneurs. I'd like to see this, nationally recognized. The competitions, I don't really consider them sports. I mean, we're both professionals in their different aspects, like professional athletes, they have the physical finesse that, like a poker player myself doesn't have. On the other hand, we all have like dedication, skill, talent. We make a living doing this. So just breaking the stereotypes. Like everyone assumes that, you know, whoever games just sitting in the house all day and just plays video games. It's totally the opposite. Our team actually took second in the state Division I for wrestling. I was also regional champion for tennis. People assume all gamers just sit around all day, but it's not true. Yeah, I guess I'll believe it when I see it. Been looking at houses lately. I think this is the one. Gonna show some of my friends, see what they think, and let's go check it out. I can just imagine myself hanging out with some friends over there, just, you know, setting it up. It's gonna be the girl spot back here for sure. Hot tub out here, do it up. Owning your own property, especially at my age, it's gonna be real sweet. Definitely gonna be the game room.
Black lights.
Yeah, yep. Bunch of my gaming posters. Hopefully can, you know, maybe set up something respectable for my checks and trophies.
I think this house has a garage too for all those cars you win.
Some of my friends, they don't really play Halo.
We got the girl calling.
Which one? Which one called you?
I have my Halo work and friends.
All right, guys. Here's to Walshy.
I am very excited and proud of him. And he said, I don't know how long this ride's going to be. I know I'm not going to be, nor do I believe I want to be a pro gamer all my life, but he says, I know I'm going to find the path of what I want to do by doing this. You never know how long the ride's going to be. So you better enjoy it and you better make some good sound decisions while you're on it. And he's doing that.
3!
Man, look at you. You're living the dream out there. Eh? And you aged well too, man. You still look great today. What happened?
Thank you.
Aging like wine. Yeah, man. I just looking back at that, even
past.
yeah, I know, but even at
Crazy
22, you have a great mindset towards things too, just trying to change the stereotype associated with gaming and the fact that you're also very athletic and you're doing so many other things around that. Just like this at the time was incredible, like especially for its time. This is something that was unprecedented in gaming. You're paving the way for huge sponsorships and acquisitions that we see today. So walk me through this a bit. What was that like? You know, like when did this aspect of fame kind of come into play, like beyond just the gaming? And then just kind of take me through, I guess, a day of the life of 2006 Walshy.
And 2006 Walshy. Let's see. So just a little prior to like 2006, obviously like the gaming stuff was pretty underground. You know what I mean? Like people knew of like the ogres and stuff, but you were like already in the Halo community. It's not like people outside the Halo community knew of like ogres or T squared or Walshy or anything like that. It was more like, all right, like if you were in the Halo community, you knew those names, but like the Halo community wasn't, you know, it wasn't as, it was big, but it wasn't like the Halo 1 competitive community wasn't as well recognized as like esports are today. And so back then, I remember like one of my first times, like someone asking for an autograph at a tournament. Like this is before it was even on TV or anything. I was like, why does someone want my autograph? All right, sure. And like, you know, like signing something, I was like, all right, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then later on, like when things started like skyrocketing a bit more, like especially when it got to be on TV, like I was listening to that audio clip, and I even remember I didn't believe it was gonna be on TV until it happened. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes I was like, all right, I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing. And then when it came out, I was like, I remember like the following day or one of the next couple days, like I was at the mall for like Christmas shopping. And some girl who was working at like the like I was buying like chocolates or something for like a Christmas gift, and like I was with my girlfriend at the time, and then she was like, "Oh, can I get a picture of you? Like my boyfriend, he watched your your last episode or like last couple episodes on the MLG Pro Circuit TV show," and I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Famous.
And yeah, it's like you know, like that's I think probably the first time I can recall ever like being recognized out in public outside of someone who's like, you know, a Halo 1 player, if that makes sense. And so yeah, back then it was it just skyrocketed like I said really quick. It went from, you know, people from a Halo scene knowing who I was, you know, and making, you know, like literally like hundreds of dollars or a couple, you know, a few $1,000s in like the early Halo 1 days, to, you know, instantly skyrocketing to, you know, making a full blown living.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable stuff, and like how quickly some of that stuff changed. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this is something I keep forgetting to do, but if you're currently watching and you're thinking, I have some questions for Walshy that I want answered, feel free to ask your questions in the chat, guys. We're doing a live Q&A at the end of this interview. Tony, I know you're listening over here. Can you please check the Twitch chat? Make sure that if anybody has any questions, you grab them. We'll answer them at the end of the show here. So feel free, guys, drop your questions in the Twitch chat. Let's continue on here. So eventually your time with Final Boss did come to an end. You were dropped from the roster, and this news was a shock to the community at the time. There was a short YouTube interview about it, and they say that you were removed from the roster kind of due to issues outside the game. I was wondering if you're comfortable sharing any information on this topic and why things went the way they did, because you guys were the most dominant team in Halo. What happened? How did it split like that?
Yeah, I mean, certain things like relationships can start to get complicated, whether it's due to a long time of uncomfortability of getting to each other. Like we definitely had some conflicts, in and out of the game, whether it was like commitment to, people getting on and practicing. I mean, we had that similar with like Saiyan for not jumping on towards the end of the 2006 season. And it was kind of similar with like Ogre 1. When it came to Halo 3 coming out, where he wasn't taking the game as serious, and it also kind of showed when he also hung up the controller when he finished up that last season. Right. And then there was obviously there's other small things I won't fully get into details or delve into, but there's from outside's perspective, when it comes to sponsorship money or recognition and stuff, there was definitely some butting the heads or issues with how some of that stuff was going down. But yeah, it was definitely still a shock, despite knowing things were not 100% as far as relationship. I felt like at the time I was like, all right, we've been together 3 or 4 years. We're just sort of like any budding friendship or relationship. It's like, all right, you and your best friend, I'm sure, had a 3-month period where you guys were not talking to each other or something like that, and then you guys finally get together and you're back at it again or whatever. So
yeah, I can imagine it's difficult. There's so much pressure, especially on a squad like Final Boss that's completely dominating. You guys are you're #1 in the league, and then just the expectation that comes from the fans, the expectation that you guys have for yourselves to continue to win and to place first, and the sponsors and the other things that come in, and who gets the spotlight, who gets the recognition. So there's so many little things that come into play just beyond just keeping up your player skill and your dedication to the game. So I can imagine things can get challenging there. But you came back around with Team Instinct. You defeated your old Final Boss roster in the process. And there was this one, this is one of your classic trash talk moments, let's say, and you do this a lot, and they're always fun to watch here. Tony, I got some clips here for you to roll. Let's roll the first trash talking clip.
I'm sitting here with Walshy from Instinct. Now, last year when you guys beat Final Boss, you were quoted as saying it was like taking candy from a baby.
That doesn't sound like something I'd say.
Oh, no, I heard you did.
Possible, but I was a little offended that Victory didn't mention our relationship. I mean, I raised him and Macchio as my practice noobs up in Michigan, so.
Well, this year, Final Boss is undefeated. So, are you going to give them their first loss this time?
I have not lost to Final Boss in over 4 years.
All right. Now, you are the epitome of, look at your fans. How awesome is this? You're not intimidated right now, are you?
Well, basically, if MLG was Full House, I'm pretty much like Uncle Jesse. That's how I look at it. And the Ogre twins are the Olsen twins. And then we got I mean, you don't kick Uncle Jesse out of the house, do you? He always has good advice to give. He's always there for you.
Dude, you just compared that team to the Olsen twins. I don't even know what to say to that. That is absolutely horrible. So as a team captain, how do you keep your team so focused?
We work so well together. Basically, don't get in front of Rory. He's going to 4-shot you every time. Mason's going to miss I'll be generous and say he'll miss 2 or 3 snipes this entire match. And then Lunchbox, doesn't really matter. He's just going to be running around, probably just mailing the ground because we're going to be destroying.
All right, dude. Well, you smell really good right now. It must be the Old Spice. Good luck today in the championship, and back to you, Farouk.
All right. Sound bites for the next 3 years right there from Walshy. He is confident. He is ready for this match.
Oh my God, man. Okay, before we get into it, we got one more trash talking one. This one's my favorite one. Tony, roll the second one.
What do you think about your team you retired from?
They look like the 2006 team I'm used to seeing.
Uh-oh.
So that's why I'm giving them the edge over straight ripping tonight. I said it.
All right.
I said it.
He's calling Carbon over straight ripping. Our second matchup, we got Instinct taking on Triggers down. But we have Julie, who's down on the floor with the newest member of Carbon, Walshy.
Hey, Farouk. Yep, I'm here with Walshy on his brand new team, Carbon. Now, Walshy, you have a history of bringing success to teams. So far, what have you brought to Carbon?
Well, as a long-standing Carbon member, like I've been on here for about 3.5 years now, I bring, you know, a lot of leadership, a lot of funny jokes, number 2, snacks for Defy, 3.
What about snacks for me? What do you got?
Nothing for you, Defy.
Wow, nothing for me, evil. All right, well, up until now, Straight Rippin' has had not only your number, but they've also had Carbon's number. So what are you going to do tonight to change that?
Take our number away from them.
Take it back. All right, now we are all familiar with the Walshy that we saw on Instinct. Who's the Walshy that we see on Carbon?
I enjoy long walks on the beach. I like to flank sometimes. Sometimes I put a lot of shots in people. It's, you know, whole new mellow me.
Do you like pina coladas?
No.
Getting lost in the rain?
No.
Long walks on the beach, though, huh?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Hit me up later for that. All right, Farouk, back to you.
Gentlemen, I mean, Walshy is down there. Listen to the crowd. They caught him the...
Ooh, dude. Tell me you guys took a walk on the beach. What happened there? Did it happen?
You know what? Julie is married now and has a kid, but I still have not given up yet. I still message her every single day. You know.
Oh my God, dude, that was hilarious. I love how she says it and you're like, oh, whoa, you put your arm around behind her back. And also mad props to the fact that you can say a joke and then keep a straight face, especially for you, because you're always smiling, but you say your joke and you just go straight face, you just hold it, and everybody in the audience is like laughing and cheering. I'm like, damn, man. So like, where does this come from? Because people, when they get interviewed in esports, it's usually just like one boring, droning conversation, but you have fun with it. You just go for it. You add your 2 cents, whatever it is. What's going through your mind?
I don't know. I think end of the day, a lot of, you know, gaming, athletic competition, stuff like that, it's entertainment. And when I think of some of the most notable names in the past, you know, like I think of someone like Muhammad Ali. Like he stood for obviously like greater beliefs, you know, religious beliefs, anti-Vietnam War, and obviously like his trash talk, like it just made him like one of those like likable or hateable characters. And when I say trash talk, like I think of like clever. I really respect and appreciate like clever trash talk that makes sense. Like somebody just like leaning over the boxes and telling them how much they suck and saying every swear word they can think of. Like, sure, I guess you can argue that that's like trash talk, but like I don't know what, there has to be like differing terms for it in my eyes now, because like you know, there's clearly a significant difference in saying something that makes people laugh, something that's like not like I guess some of the stuff I said is like kind of degrading or humiliating, but like not really. It's not really, you know what I mean? Like you can tell, you can like see like the silver lining in a lot of like the jokes and stuff like that. So I've always been a huge fan of trash talk, and if I had to say one influence from it, it'd have to be my uncle, without a doubt. Like he's every single time we come over for like holidays and, you know, like do a Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas, like he always tells like some pretty terrible jokes, not gonna lie, but other ones are good, or like, you know, just the whole time he's like just, you know, he's straight up trash talking like me and my grandpa as we're like playing cribbage or we're playing like hearts and stuff like that. And it's he definitely is maybe my trash talk idol.
Is your uncle responsible for the Walshy dad jokes as well that you do during commentary?
I don't know if he can take responsibility for all those ones. Like he'll probably be responsible for the jokes that like gets me fired. Like, all right, I heard this last one.
Yeah. No, but I completely like understand and agree. Like I respect your approach to it. I think that's such a great like approach that you're more witty and you're creative with the way that you decide to trash talk people. So it's still like, yeah, you're still trash talking, but you're doing it in this way that's very respectable. And it's like you can't hate a guy who's got creative trash talk. You know what I mean? It's like it's a really exciting flavor that you bring to the broadcast rather than just swearing in their faces. You guys ever see Gears of War trash talk? It's literally just stand up and like, where's my money? Like just fucking just get into it. You know, which is funny in its own way, but yeah, I love that you have your own kind of creative spin to it. I think that's really awesome. Yeah. So overall, I'd say looking back, you've accomplished what I would say is a legendary career in competitive Halo, spending most of your career on arguably the most dominant squad in Halo history, picking up accolades along the way, and you retired from competitive in 2012. And like your mom said, the ride has to stop eventually. And this ride as a competitor is over, but all that really means is that you've opened a new chapter. So who is Walshy today is what I want to ask.
Oh, man. That's a
big question.
I'm in the middle of finding out myself right now. So
sure. You were just traveling, weren't you?
Fast forward right now, I am I'm taking like ideally like 6 to 8 months off, just traveling and just trying to, you know, kind of figure out what's next for me. I want to make sure whatever I go into next, I'm, you know, 100% enthusiastic about, and I just also, you know, I also want to take some time just to reevaluate some relationships in my life. By that, I mean, like, you know, like work-life balance, exercise and diet, you know, just as far as like, you know, even just figuring out like what do I want to do next? Because like I did game design for a couple years recently. I'm doing this backwards. Let me start from the very beginning. Let's go back to
start from wherever you like, man. Go for it.
So if I'm starting back in 2012, I think one thing that people won't tell you when you get out of gaming is that without going to a direct transition like something like YouTube or Twitch or some sort of like esports managerial role, you'll find it sometimes partially difficult to figure out what's next, because like you went from doing something you 100% were passionate about, enjoyed, made a good living at, like you got fame, notoriety from, and then you got to take a step back, like, oh wow, like what do I do next? Like I'm not going to continue being like some sort of personality or some sort of figure like that. Like what do I do as far as like career wise? Because especially in the days where like I retired or got done, like you couldn't really name any. You might be able to name like one or two players who had supposedly won enough prize money to retire for the rest of their lives. But I think I had other aspirations. I also like, you know, I didn't, you know, I made good prize money, but like not enough to like be 100% set for life sort of thing. So you have to kind of take a step back and be like, all right, well, what is next for me? And obviously I knew I wanted to do something gaming related because that's where I found a lot of success. It's something where I'm passionate in. Exactly. The clothing line for me didn't fully or didn't pan out. So I was like, all right, that was one thing that I was trying to plan a step ahead. I was like, all right, I'll start maybe this clothing company, and then maybe I can you know, build that out to sell it or run that when I'm done and stay involved with gaming. But so I took about like 6 months off, similar to what I'm doing right now. But I was like, all right, I need to figure out what I want to do next. So I took some time and I decided like, well, I know games very well. Like I clearly understand like Halo and other games at a very deep level. So it's like, all right, like game design seems like a pretty reasonable career to go towards, but it's not easy to fully get into, even with like a name like myself, where I didn't have a lot of the technical skills as of yet. So I decided to go back to school. So I went back to a place called Grand Valley State University and graduated with honors there in computer science. Nice. So I learned programming and immediately took a job at a studio in Seattle area. So that's where I'm at right now. Is I was working at a small studio called First Strike Games for the last couple of years. We separated recently, and like I said, I'm taking 6 months off to kind of figure out what's next, to figure out like, all right, do I want to stay in game design? Do I want to go and pursue some sort of other esports venture? Do I want to like try to pursue one of those ideas that have been kicking around the back of my head for a long time? And also, I'm just not gonna lie, straight up burnt out after the last last couple of years. Like I was, working 40 to 60 hours a week. Plus, I traveled. I want to say 77 days the previous year for Halo and other gaming related events.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, man. I'm confident you're going to figure it out. I mean, especially and you're still doing so many other things. Like you said, you're so busy on the grind, continuing with that, and on top of the fact that you're still commentating, you're still casting Halo, and that's still happening next week as well. As far as you like as a gamer, yes, you might be old for gaming, but you're still a young guy. You still got, like I said, the chapter opens. There's still so much left for Walshy, so I'm excited to see what happens with you. And with the recent MCC PC announcement, which I'm going to want to hear.
Before we get into that, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but no, I've been playing this other game, Killer Queen, a lot lately, like this arcade game. So I've been traveling around to about a tournament a month for like the last few months since I've been taking my time off for that, and actually won one recently. So I still got some gaming skills.
All right. No, I'm sure that's the thing. Honestly, like I don't really fully believe that the gaming like skill deteriorates with age unless you're like pushing like 40s or something. Because if you look at competitive, this is a whole other topic. Competitive fighters, you look at somebody like Daigo or whatever, who's like pushing 40, who are still like one of the top players in the world, still incredibly talented. So it's just, I think as you get older, the responsibilities become different. Your mindset becomes different. There's just so many other things at play, and the time requirement is so much more challenging than a 16-year-old kid who has the stamina, who has the free time, who has, you know what I mean? So there's so many other elements. But
I agree entirely.
Yeah, exactly. Like your wisdom is still there, and it shows in your commentary. And
mainly when you have to switch games as well. If you think about, like, you see some other players have longer careers in games where you're not switching around as much. You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's like
right.
Obviously like a Halo or the FPSs I was playing. It's like I have to learn a brand new game every 2 or 3 years, and like you said, a lot of times your priorities in life and what's important to you in life changes throughout those times, and sometimes you just don't have that same sort of drive to grind out the hours when the game comes out, and there's a high correlation with how much time you put in and how well you're gonna do.
Exactly. So you're still keeping with Halo from the commentary side of things, because we have the Invitational coming up. Super excited for that. Are you excited? And what can we expect to see you doing there?
Obviously, I'll be casting all the matches. I don't know what other parts they have announced as far as show matches and stuff, but you might see me on the sticks there a little bit this next week.
Right, because we got a whole variety of different like activities and stuff. We got a big team battle tournament. We got Snipe Down versus Lethal. So you're saying there's a chance we got Walshy playing some Halo. Is that what you're saying?
There's a chance.
Remember, guys, if you're in the chat currently, you have any questions for Walshy, feel free to ask them in the chat. I want to get your opinion now on the big news, the bomb that was just dropped on Inside Xbox here. We have MCC on PC. This is massive, man. What do you think this means for Halo?
Well, it's one of the first times we've seen Halo get out of just the Xbox realm. I think that's one thing a lot of people don't really take into account with how much success and how popular Halo has been. It has been Xbox exclusive entirely. You compare, like, every single time we're comparing Halo to some of its competitors, something like a Call of Duty or whatever, it's like, yeah, Call of Duty is on Xbox, PC, PlayStation, Switch, like you can play it on everything. You know what I mean? And so obviously Halo has been a powerhouse for Microsoft and the Xbox brand as a whole. So like there's its reasons for it. But as far as being accessible to people, it's you don't reach more people than you do on PC. PC is the most popular platform out there. So it'll be interesting to see how the PC community receives it. I mean, I played a little bit of like Halo 1 PC when that first came out, and that one wasn't clearly done extremely well.
Right.
So we hope and trust that they do this right when they release it on there, because I think obviously Halo has such a strong name behind it that it's going to attract a lot of people, and they're going to get the opportunity to have players play it. It's just going to be, it's going to introduce Halo to a whole new audience, which is just exciting for newer players, and then also for us as the hardcore competitive community, because it just introduces more eyes on the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like ease of access is just so available now. And are you somebody who's talented on a mouse and keyboard though? You think you could see yourself playing some Halo on mouse and keyboard, or would you stick with the gamepad?
I'm decent. Like, I don't know how to say like how good I am. Like, I mean, I've gotten to like whatever, like diamond or something like an Overwatch. I was pretty good at like Counter-Strike. I was like master in StarCraft, stuff like that. So like I'm decent on like a mouse and keyboard.
So you're doing okay. I'm gonna get bodied. I have not been playing any mouse and keyboard games, so I'm gonna have to figure it out last minute somehow. But either way, I think that like especially with the way that the industry works today with these massive streamers, the moment they play one game, you have like 100,000 people watching it, which is just incredible. And you have people like Summit1G saying that he's missing games like this, arena-style shooters. There's so much incentive for these players to jump on and play the game and just bring it to the eyes of hundreds of thousands of people. So I think, yes, that's going to be huge for Halo. And then what do you think that means kind of like leading into Halo Infinite? What would you like to see as far as Halo Infinite goes, if you have any kind of ideas towards the new title?
So it's gonna be interesting to see if they do, like, let's go with the hypothetical that they make it on both PC and Xbox, which is clearly a possibility. The fact that they're doing this now with MCC kind of teases towards that possibility. So with that in mind, I think from a game design standpoint, you have to figure out, all right, what are we making? Who is our base case user in this scenario? Are we making the mouse and keyboard player our base case user? Because in that case, you clearly you do have to up like move speed. You have to do a lot of tweaking and tuning changes to accommodate for a more precise aimer. Whereas if you're making like the base user, someone who's using a controller, you're going to spend a lot of time tuning stuff like auto aim. You're going to spend a lot of time tuning, like you're going to be a little bit more forgiving and slower speed stuff. And both of those are acceptable answers, but it's I think you get in trouble if you don't commit to one or the other, because I think you can get a subpar experience for both of the main audiences if you don't commit to one or the other. So I think that's one interesting decision that they'll have to make over on their end is, like I said, going to the hypothetical that's on both, which is the base user. Which are you doing? Because I don't think you've seen much success from creating two different games. You're not going to be like, all right, well, here's how Halo Infinite plays on PC and things are a little bit faster, and here's how Halo Infinite plays on Xbox, and and so I think they at least have some reference points now, though, with something like Fortnite to see like, all right, how have they accommodated? You've seen, it's clear in my eyes, it's clearly a game more so around mouse and keyboard. They have made it accessible on the other platforms, but they've made it mainly a mouse and keyboard game because you see those players dominate. That's where they're supporting most of their tournament money. They allow people to play with controllers, and they have auto aim assist and certain things to try to close that gap. But in my eyes, Fortnite was designed as a PC game, and it clearly was, because I don't even remember if they had much Fortnite on console or before the battle royale mode. So yeah, I think they have a couple reference points, but that's one of my most concerning parts is like, all right, how are they going to tackle that problem? And then obviously the other bigger problem or question is it going to be more classic? Is it going to be more technical? Like which way do you go? Because we've seen a lot of success with very in-depth games like a Fortnite or Apex, with a lot of options and ways you can play the game, or do you go a more simplistic model? That is something that we haven't seen as much in recent past. We haven't seen as many super successful games be like, all right, here's super simple model. You only have just this one loadout. You can, you don't have too many movement abilities. You don't have too many,
Counter-Strike is kind of the glaring example here, right? Where it's just kind of simply, it's not simple because there is a economy system and there's so many like little mechanics that go into the game, but at a base kind of foundational perspective, it's simple. You know what I mean? So
yes and no, and like I said, also my other part of the argument too is like I would say in like recent past, because I mean like Counter-Strike
in recent, it's something that's been around
like
forever.
Counter-Strike's been around forever, and they did release Go, whatever, like was that 6 years ago or 8 years ago or something, but and that they held fairly true to the core game. But you got a great point where it's like, you don't have a ton of like ridiculous movement stuff, and like I said, either way can work, and it's just an interesting question because like you constantly hear this debate within the Halo community, like they have to go back to classic Halo, or they have to, you have to, you see these other successful games like Apex or Fortnite. It's like, oh well, you got to create all these new cool things that you can do in Halo to create it, make it interesting or get the audience. And
Yeah, and I hear you there. One thing I've been talking with a lot of different pros on the show, and they've been bringing that up as well. And I think Saiyan at one point had brought up this great point where it was with Halo 5, it was the whole conglomerate of abilities brought in together that made it so kind of overwhelming and too much. It was the fact that it wasn't just sprinting and sliding and thrusting. It was the ground pounding and the Spartan charging and so many different abilities added at the same time. Whereas maybe there's some sort of a hybridization aspect, like some sort of a middle ground where Apex, you can sprint and slide and jump, and there's some mechanics, but it's not, you're not thrusting, you're not stabilizing, but they have some stuff. So I don't know, there might be a middle ground. I think what was even more interesting, and what was even more interesting was that point that you brought up about who is your base user. I didn't really even consider that, and with Halo especially, auto aim being such a big factor for console, because you're holding your reticle on a player for a prolonged period of time. It's not just spray and you kill them. It's like 4 or 5 separate shots you got to land. So how would they balance those things across PC and console? That is really interesting. I wonder how that would play out. The only thing I thought in regards to PC and console was to have a mode that's like specifically dedicated for PC players that encourages streamers to come on and play, but still kind of keeping the core of what makes Halo for the console players, so that you can still have your 4v4 competitive scene console, but then have your like BR Battle Royale or something on your PC or whatever they do. I don't know.
No, that's we could talk about this for hours and hours, but I think end of the day, like, from the Halo 5 perspective, my eyes is just it wasn't very forgiving or welcoming to new players.
Right.
I tried to look back at like older Halos, something like a Halo 2, and it's like, all right, yeah, you had a lot of certain automatic weapons that were actually reasonable to use. You know what I mean? Like, newer players could pick up a SMG or whatever, like they could dual wield and they could still see some success. Whereas Halo 5, there's like, all right, we're gonna make this, a solid competitive game, and like they did that out of the box. It was really competitive, but a new player trying to use the AR in Halo 5, they're just getting destroyed. Not because it's a bad weapon, it's because it took too much skill to use. And so I think the argument always is like, you always want to have ideally as low of a skill floor as possible, so that's welcoming to newer players, and then as high of a skill ceiling as possible, so that the competitive players reach that. And in most cases, it ends up being like a sliding scale. Like you hear about games like Dota 2, where it's like it's a very unforgiving game to new players, but has a ridiculous high skill ceiling. So, like I said, you want to make that spectrum as wide as possible. But we'll see where they put that slider on for Halo, because I felt like it was too high for Halo 5, and I would have loved to see it either wider, like I said, welcoming into newer players, or even just lower. Like I hate saying that as a competitive player, but like I would like to see a lower skill ceiling, which is not really true. But there are certain aspects, like I said, I would like to see it more welcoming newer players, and if that came at a cost of a slightly higher skill ceiling, that's maybe a cost I would have been willing to pay for Halo 5.
Sure. Like a really great point. I completely agree there. And I think like Fortnite, the Fortnite example is a pretty good example right there. Is it's very easy to jump into Fortnite and play, but the skill ceiling at the top of a play is insane. Like the way that, players like Ninja are building fortresses around themselves in a matter of seconds and navigating things in crazy ways. But he's
building buildings almost as big as his real house. It's ridiculous.
Almost as big. Yeah. Unbelievable. And the guy's popping off now, and came from Halo as well, which is really exciting. And maybe he'll come back to Halo too. We'll see.
Like, we got Summit as a huge supporter, and I think Ninja, it'd be fatuous to think that he's not gonna like dabble in it for a moment or something like that.
Exactly.
He's throwing some love from time to time, and like it's just it's really cool to see, like like we said, like Ninja coming from Halo and being like literally the biggest gamer in the world. Like that's really cool to say, like that came from Halo.
Unbelievable. And Halo is on the way back. I'm so damn excited about it. And I think this PC announcement is a great way to kick things off, build a community, and set us up for a massive Halo Infinite launch. But let's jump into our quick Q&A here and see what people are saying in the chat, and see if they've got any interesting, funny questions for you. First off, we got Luongo Pro, who works at UGC, asking ask him what his first memory of Halo. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant ask what his first memory of UGC was. I was like, why? First memory of Halo was.
I mean, we kind of answered this one earlier, but to quickly recap it, my brother was the one who told me about it, and I like the first game, or one of the first ones I remember playing was, it was like a free for all in Battle Creek, and that's where I was just getting like out pistoled every single time, and he would just destroy me with like a plasma rifle. We might have even been playing like King of the Hill free for all or something like that. I don't even know, but either way, my first memory was playing with my brother when he was in college, and I was like late high school, and just playing like a 3-man free for all.
first memory of Halo was the respawn screen, I guess. We got Basic Nated says, ask him about cross-platform with MCC on PC because this can kill Halo on Xbox.
Hard to say because first off, like, yeah, I can't say 100% the one way or the other, like, oh, this doesn't kill it or it does kill it. I don't really feel like it's a 100% kill thing. If let's go with the argument that it hurts the Halo community or the Xbox community for some reason, like which I'm not saying, but if we go with that hypothesis, I would argue well, first off, one of the things that Halo is suffering from right now is some of the population's levels when it comes to like getting, good matches or getting matches around your level or getting matches at certain times. And it's like, I think people would very welcome a larger influx of players. Now, as far as maybe if they don't have the right balancing between like mouse and keyboard versus controller, or if keyboard and mouse players just start coming through and destroying and make people who play on controller never want to play again, I'd probably be proved wrong. But has the cross-platform or has crossplay been confirmed then between the two? Is that correct?
I don't know if crossplay has been confirmed. We just know that it's coming out on PC and on Xbox. So they haven't really gone into detail on how crossplay would work, if it's working. Regardless, you can't kill Halo on Xbox. You can maybe kill gamepad use in a way, right? But even the Xbox is adding PC, like mouse and keyboard support. All your Razer keyboards work with your Xbox now. By the time the Infinite, like Halo Infinite comes out, they'll probably have that support from day one. And not to,
that's the bigger argument in my eyes is, all right, how do you alleviate when we do, mouse and keyboard and stuff on Xbox? Because that's the bigger issue. Because like I said, we're making the assumption that it is crossplay. Let's first go with the argument that it's not crossplay, and then I would argue more so that the bigger issue is like, all right, how do you balance now for keyboard and mouse on Xbox once you get good functioning ones? Because I've heard in the past there's been some in the past that like people, you couldn't play competitively as well with them. So yeah, as far as like my thoughts on crossplay, like I don't know, like you can't look to Fortnite and be like, this is the perfect competitive game just because it's like the biggest, has the most prize money. Like it, there's better examples of better competitive games out there. That doesn't take away from Fortnite's phenomena at all. Like that, it still makes Fortnite a great game, and they found the right spot in their space, and they're one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game in the world, for a reason. But the crossplay one, like with Xbox, if I was making the decision, like I don't know, I don't think it would be bad, like for Infinite to just do separate. Like I think that's what Call of Duty does, anyways, right? Like you have a separate player base for PlayStation, for Xbox, for PC, and everyone just plays in their separate but equal environments. Oh man, what are we doing? We're not allowed to do this shit. We learned about this in high school. We can't do separate but equal environments. But no, whole point being is, I don't know. Like I haven't fully thought through like crossplay. Like I think it makes sense in some cases. Like Rocket League is the one that makes the most sense because gamepad and controllers are the ideal peripheral for it. So.
Yeah, I think actually Call of Duty hit a good sweet spot there because you have the competitive community. So the actual Pro League is still on PlayStation 4 on gamepad, where Call of Duty has been historically. They could still do that with Halo, but they also introduced their Battle Royale mode that PC players are loving and enjoying and playing, and there are tournaments in that Battle Royale mode. So it's brought a massive fan base to the game from the PC side of things, but you still have your own individual communities across console and PC. So it can work. We'll see how it all unfolds, and hopefully they do it in the best possible way. But I don't think anything's going to die necessarily.
No, I said, I was taking that as a hypothesis, but I was like, all right, like this isn't, it doesn't hold 100% true. Like I don't see anything dying like that.
Yeah. Next up, we have EXO Live says, ask Walshy about the LAN days trash talking to Zios.
Oh man, Zios was an intimidating character. Not gonna lie, he had his own, like personal demeanor and stuff like that, where he's just like, he seemed like someone you just didn't want to rub the wrong way. But yeah, he was like I said, just an intimidating, fierce competitor. So it was fun, like times where like, he was one of the people that would like sometimes fire back throughout the matches, and it was fun. Like I said, like you get caught up in the heat of the moment, and like I don't think either of us said anything that like was regrettable or anything. Like, we were just like yelling things back and forth, like,
yeah,
where are you? We're in the hill, 20 uncontested seconds in the middle, Walshy. Like that's what Zyos would be calling out to me, and it's just like, like I look back at that stuff and I think it's hilarious and I love it. But yeah, he like when we got actual lands, I don't remember us trash talking too much. Actually, one of the few times we did trash talk, we were on the same team. Like we were like practicing 2v2s for MLG Chicago in like 2004. Yeah. And I just remember like me and Intron, and it was Killer and then Zyos. And I just remember one of the times like we destroyed them in a game, and Zyos afterwards like, do you want to bet money when we play each other at the tournament? I was like whoa, like where's this coming? He's like, you seem pretty confident. I was like, well, actually, if we do meet up, it's in the semifinals. And it's on Damnation. We just beat you 51-3. So yes, I'll absolutely bet money. They just walked away.
Nice. Man, the trash talking builds character, right? I mean, you wouldn't have been able to kill it in all your little interview segments as well if you didn't have some practice with Zyos, right? So, moving on with the questions. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tools at UGC, how does he prepare when it comes to casting Halo? Good question.
It depends. So for some events in the past where I felt like if I haven't played, I didn't play nearly as much Halo 5 clearly as compared to like other Halos. So some of the times I would like watch some of the streams to see what some of the starting strats players are doing. Other times, honestly, I do rely on a lot of like inherent knowledge that transfers from game to game, because I'm a firm believer that you can break down a specific play or strategy, whether it's like a flank, and break it down to certain fundamentals that can be applied to any game. Like, like if I'm talking about flank, for example, like I try to break that down and say like, all right, a lot of people say a flank, their job is to get a kill, or their job is to get behind the enemy team and kill them. It's like, all right, like that's a very simplistic version of it, but like you try to break it down into further elements. Like one is you try to take like a time opportunity cost from your opponents. Like if they have 2 or 3 people focused on this one flanker that they can't reach or fight, that gives your teammates a window of opportunity, like 2 to 5 seconds that they can come through and potentially shoot someone in the back and take advantage of that. And so it's just like there's so many different ways that you can break down deep mechanics in the game. And I think one piece of feedback I've always been getting from viewers and fans is they seem to like some of those like deep interjections where it's like, I'll talk about something that's going on currently in the game. It's like, all right, well, here is why Snipe Down's flank was so successful. It's not just because he got that one kill there. It's because he had 2 or 3 people with their backs turned to him. It's because he didn't poke out until his teammates were already shooting those players. And it's like all those little different pieces that fall in line, and just trying to like dissect that. So as far as like prep for some events, some of them I do more than others, but I always do a bit of prep before the events.
Yeah. And people do love it, by the way. I see it in the comments. Whenever you add the Walshy knowledge, people in the comments are just going on Twitch like, Walshy's dad, like all this stuff. Like,
well, it's half and half, like maybe not half and half, but like, I get a majority of people that enjoy it. Some people are like, why is he still talking about this? For God's sake, tell Walshy to stop talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, I think like with you kind of just come as yourself. Like you are Walshy as you're casting, which I think is great. Like there's no kind of like extra persona, or you're not trying to be any fancy caster. You're just you're Walshy. Like you're given the knowledge from your Halo days. Like from I don't know. It just kind of comes out very natural when you're casting. So I think it's very well done. And, good question, Yu-Gi-Oh. Getting some. So I like how you're giving knowledge that's applicable to all different types of games, right? Like describing a flank in more detail, something that can be applied to Counter-Strike or to another shooter.
And so like I said, and that's even more so the case with Halo. I could break down a fundamental in Halo 1 and tell you like what the analogy was for like Halo 2, 3, 5, stuff like that. And so it's not just only applicable to every other game, but like even more so within Halo, I can be like, yep, here is why this works so well. Here's why this works so well because of the spawn system in Halo, and let's break that down for a little bit.
Right. Okay, we got Snipe N21. Does Walshy see himself working at 343 Industries at some point in the future?
That'd be a dream at some point. I would have to see. Like I said, at some points for me, like we covered most of kind of like my past from like 2012, from when I retired to now. But for me right now, it's like kind of evaluating like what do I want to do next, and I want to make sure it's a role I'm really passionate about.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure if that means it would be on the game dev team and, you know, helping design some of the features within the game. One of the scary parts, good and scary parts at like a larger studio is a lot of times you will get put on to a small facet of the game. So it's not like
Right.
I think it would be a little intimidating, you know, going in because people would like be like, oh, well, she's gonna change all of Halo. It's gonna be perfect to like what I expect. It's like, no, I'd probably be like, you know, like mid-level or you know, like senior designer there or something like that
Sure.
at most. And I would maybe take ownership over one small part, you know, whether it's like weapons or modes or you know like whether it's like movement abilities or something like that.
Right.
But it's not like I'm just going in there and just like slapping things off people. That's like, yo,
Yeah.
you need to go make this next. You need to go do this. Like it's not like I'm directing every single facet of Halo. So
Right. Right.
I think that would be it would be good and tough because like I said, like I'm so passionate about Halo that there's so many things I want to get my hands into and influence in, and a lot of times you do have to clearly trust the team and the vision. And 343 does overall good job. But like I said, I still have to evaluate like if I want to do game dev or you know maybe one of these days I could work on like the 343 esports side of things like for the events and stuff because that's clearly a huge passion of mine since I've been doing that for like the last 5 or 7 years. But we'll see. For now, it's break time for me. I'm just traveling around, vacationing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, find the role that fits for you, and like you said, like you end up being kind of like designated to one little facet where there's so many little things that you want to be involved in, so it can be kind of difficult. But I imagine the whole idea of working at 343 could be a lot more approachable if things really start to pop off when Halo Infinite comes out and the MCC PC launches and stuff. I'm sure you know if the community grows and whatnot, we've got so much incentive to be a part of it all, and you know the opportunities would be pretty awesome, I'm sure. But all right, so we've got Virtuoso. Question for Walshy. Who is his favorite Halo player?
Ooh, favorite Halo player. I mean that's pretty open-ended. Like whether you say like their actual gameplay or whether it's you know friends outside the game. But I had to say one Halo person that's probably like my best friend outside the game has got to be Strongside. I mean, who doesn't love Strongside?
Yeah.
I mean, except everyone that he pranks and everyone, you know, all the shenanigans he pulls. But no, Strongside's my dude.
I miss Strongside. Where's he been? He hasn't been around recently.
He's also
on the
vacation grind. Like me, Side and Bravo are all like just taking months off, just trying to find the meaning of life, I guess.
I expect to see you guys come back in a big way. So our last question for tonight here, we got Muck_Uro. Walshy, explain Instasplodes.
Oh man! All right.
Here we go for the 400th time.
I do have to leave around like 10 p.m. Central, so I'll try to make this short. But
3
hours. Instasplodes. Oh my god. All right. So first off, Instasplode is in Halo 3 when you throw a plasma grenade and you let that one settle on the ground, and then you throw a second one and time it with the first grenade that's on the ground's explosion. And the second one goes flying and instantly explodes in the air, whichever way you sent that. So for me, it was just like when I first discovered, I don't even know if I can say like I discovered it or not, like because I know I've seen it happen by accident once. So like I did it like within Halo 3's first year at one point. Like one time I got like 2 Instasplodes on the shotgun tunnel. So like when you were showing that trick jump earlier, I was like, there's no way out here. It's like, yeah, there is. You grab those 2 plasma grenades, you just insta-explode that person in that small, narrow hallway. But the point being is, I remember being stuck down there one time, and I think I either like bobbled a nade and like I insta-exploded someone. I was like, what the heck was that? And it was one of those things like I tried for a little bit, but it's like it really wasn't too feasible or was really tough to practice just because you don't really get many opportunities to like practice it. Like there's a few patches on the map where you can get a couple plasma grenades, and then from there you get one opportunity. But once Heretic came out and you could do Heretic free-for-alls, I literally spent no exaggeration, like weeks, just like I would play, there's multiple free-for-alls a day. I would just play no shooting, and I would just try to insta-explode every single person I could just to practice it. And like I would, not place even last place a lot of times too, just by doing that. Or I've had multiple games against like level 50s where I'm just not shooting and I'll take, my team will win and I'm just like throwing grenades. But the reason why I love him so much is anytime you can add that sort of depth mechanic to a game where it's overload depth, where you don't have to add like another button. You don't have to add like, it's not like, all right, hold left trigger and then hold left trigger to throw a second grenade and hold that long enough. I mean, it's not like some like random grenade launcher. It's like just using the built-in physics and mechanics of the game and using them in a unique way. And yeah, that sandbox just works so well for that. And yeah, I've just been such a huge fan of it because it was so incredibly rewarding. It's not like just this random thing that was unstoppable. It was like you could, there's plenty of times where someone throw a grenade to plan on instant exploding me, and then I'll just jump away to a better spot and instant explode them back off of their own grenade or their own layup. And yeah, it's probably like there's a lot of amazing things that have come out of Halo, like whether it comes to like certain glitches or unintended things, like weapon grenading or VXP, VXR, double melee, stuff like that. But I think Instant Explode has to take the cake for me just because it was so incredibly rewarding and so skillful. And yeah, huge fan of it if you can't tell.
I like how the Walshy analytical mind starts like spinning. The moment you see the nade blow up another nade, you're like, wait a second, can I do that like consistently? Can I like turn this into an actual technique? And it's crazy because it literally is consistent. Like I remember when you were saying over commentary, when you were explaining it another time over commentary, it one explosion from a nade will launch the second nade a set distance, and then it explodes every single time. So you're getting the exact same distance. This is something that you can get down to a consistent methodology, basically. And of course, you have to bounce one nade off of a wall to slow down the explosion time, so you can toss the second nade and have it actually work, and then you can send them upwards, left, right, wherever, depending on your skills there. So it just so much nuance. Good. Yeah, it's so sick. Yeah. That's the thing. Like they got to have stuff like that in Infinite, where I like how you said it's like they don't add another button. It's not like, oh, you got to put a paddle under your controller and then press this like 3 times and then like switch over with the left stick or whatever. Like it's in the game. You just toss a nade, time your second nade perfectly. Like it's just a tiny little nuance that added so much depth to the game. Apparently, we have one more question here. My Halo tutorial says, ask Walshy if he can please make more Halo histories because I listen to them every night, but I need more material because I can only listen to the same one so many times. I saw 2 of them just leading into this interview. I saw the Pocket one, I saw the Royal one. Both are really great.
Oh man, yeah, it needs to at some point. That's one part too. Like I don't know. There's some parts of me that like clearly enjoy like being in the spotlight, like coming out to the events and casting. There's a lot of other parts of me too that I just like I'm not sure if content creation's fully in my heart or not. And like that's one of the things. If I'm gonna do it, I want to make sure I'm doing 100%. I want to make sure I'm doing it for me. Like I don't want to just output content just for the sake of it. And yeah, I think when it comes to Halo history videos, it was just like, it was a good opportunity at the time. It's like, sweet, yeah, I'll just jump on with like one of my old buddies, just talk about Halo for an hour or 2, and it goes from there. But yeah, I think at some point if I do stream again, like I don't know the last time I've streamed. It's been like a couple years probably, or a year to 2 years. Jump on stream, I can see myself like doing a Halo history video or something like that. But it's cool to see that or hear that people still enjoyed those videos. And I do get at least one person event, like when I go to one of the live events, come up and say like, you gotta make more Halo history videos. So it has been heard, and I need to do it at some point. But yeah, just taking some me time right now.
For sure. Even the analysis stuff that you would do too, I liked, like where you would showcase launching nades on Wizard in Halo 1 from like all different angles, like how you had to line up certain parts of your scope and like the middle of the reticle or the outside of the scope when you like scope, like so many little things just to get a bank nade out so you can launch the power up to yourself was so cool. So a lot of those were really exciting videos. Thank you everybody in the chat who asked your questions, and thank you Walshy so much for joining me on today's episode. Man, it was an honor having you on.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
No problem, man. I can't wait to see you at the Invitational. It's going to be so exciting. I fly out Thursday morning. I'll be there Thursday like 4 something or whatever, the midday. We got our media day. Yeah, I'll see you Thursday, and Sunday's going to have massive news. It's going to be an amazing weekend. Apparently, it's St. Patty's weekend as well. So you already know what that means.
Already like a total ridiculous shit show out there in Austin, like on 6th Street, like St. Patty's Day, South by Southwest, all at the same time.
Good luck casting the next day, dude.
Yeah.
Slurring your words the whole way through. All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, and that closes our interview with Walshy. Awesome time having him on the show. And of course, as I said earlier in the show, we have a Grassroots BR skin and a nameplate giveaway. I had to remember what those were. Remember, you got to put the exclamation mark followed by Grassroots in the chat to enter yourself in the contest. Tony, how does the contest work? How do we do this now? If you can just like let me know, because all I know is that you put that in the chat, you've entered yourself in, and then how do we pick the winner? Do we do this on the show? He's typing it to me. What about my forehead? What the hell? Oh, you found the winner. All right, we already have the winner. I'm giving you guys all this misinformation. The winner is Forehead. So FOREHE number 4D with an underscore. You have won the BR skin and the nameplate as well. Congratulations. I'm sure Tony, UGC will find a way to give that over to you. That closes our show for today. Remember, guys, to check out the merch as well. Tony, throw up the merch. There we are. There we have the merch. Remember, guys, anything that you purchase here not only supports the show, it supports me as well. I would highly appreciate that. Thank you guys once again for tuning in for HCS Weekly. We've got our invitational this weekend. We got tons of great news coming up. And then, of course, we will continue back with HCS Weekly next Tuesday. See you guys soon.